Is he?
Alrighty.
Oh,
Yeah.
We
yeah.
here.
What a
Sorry
voice.
for the late morning.
Finally.
Late morning. Alrighty.
It was just a thumbs up. I was like, wait a second.
Wait a minute.
Signaling.
It's on.
Empyrean ends super quick, and I was like doing other things. So, anyway, here we are.
Hello,
Pod-
everyone.
Here we are.
The third pod.
Hi.
We are at, what is this? The Cosmic Experience podcast thing. We have Joe joining us today. Joe Tiberi of Mechina.
Hello.
This is the third time we're talking, and Jörg's first time. So this will be a super fun time. We're going to be talking about some random stuff, as well as our main topic will be conceptual storytelling within music and music itself. So, hell yeah.
Yeah. I have a warm-up question prepared.
Hell yeah.
So yeah. It is the year 2019.
2019, okay.
Metal shows are still a thing. You are at a metal show, and there's this guy coming up to you, like you, Michael, or you, Joe. Yeah.
Sure.
He wears a Lamb of God shirt. Yeah, and he comes up to you and hey, you're one of those prog metal guys, because he knows you from your podcast or something. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I'm into prog metal myself lately. I'm listening to like Opeth, and he really likes Rush.
Okay.
And his question is, what prog metal bands would you recommend so he can go deeper down the path of complex and extreme music?
Oh man.
Yeah. He says he's like really into like guitar playing, and he also listens to bands like, I don't know, like Silosis. Yeah.
Okay.
But he wants to go down into the prog metal hole.
Prog
So
metal.
what bands would you recommend to, which are like the next step?
Is it bad I need to like look at my music library to be like, oh yeah, that?
No.
I'm gonna be a boomer and just say Meshuggah.
Miss Sugar. Okay.
Of
Yo.
course.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, the reason I would say that is simply just Meshuggah's been around for a very, very long time,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very hard for me not to notice that they kind of invented a genre of music, and they took the prog stuff to a direction that was way more extreme that got accepted. And I would just be like, I mean, those guys have been around for 20 years at least.
Something like that.
You know, they sounded like Metallica back in the day, because that's who they were
Yeah.
influenced by, you know?
Yeah.
And so I was like, if a guy at the Lamb of God jacket's gonna ask you that question, I would be like, well, go to the beginning, go to Meshuggah, listen to Meshuggah in the 90s, and then go from there.
I think I'll top that off. Sorry, I'm going to interrupt.
Okay.
Have you guys heard Car Bomb?
Yes.
I would
Yes,
probably say like beyond Meshuggah,
Life
I'd
is
say
pretty
Car
bad.
Bomb. Car
Really?
Bomb's just so nutty, and it might be a little too nutty. Like that, I guess
Yeah.
it would be like, oh, if you like Meshuggah, listen to Car Bomb. You know.
Yeah.
Their production's fantastic.
Oh my
On
God.
whatever they released last time was like,
That's a great one.
that
But
what is it?
yeah, with
That song.
the laser.
Yeah, that
effect,
laser
yeah.
sound. Oh, so
I like it.
maybe Viglarta, or whatever they're called.
Vildhjarta
Vidriata, or Humanity's Last Breath.
from Sweden.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Joe, I'm completely with you, and I'm going full on boomer with Meshuggah, but I have the feeling that you have to really work to get into on the Meshuggah van, because it's
always an acquired taste.
It is really, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was mostly like thinking of, I don't know. I would say I would mostly go with like newer bands, like
Periphery.
kind of like Periphery.
Yeah, Periphery
or
style.
I don't know, Devin Townsend. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because thing with with Meshuggah is that everything is like so compact and so compressed. Yeah, you cannot really say, okay, good. Like uh, for me, it feels like they're not playing guitar. Yeah, they're like playing percussion on all of their instruments.
Yeah.
Sure.
Even the voice is like really like just another percussion layer. Yeah.
Yep.
So for a guitar guy that comes up to me and says like, I need prog metal bands, I would go for something that is where you can like identify the guitar a bit easier. Yeah. So
if it was a guitar player, that got it.
Yeah.
If he's a guitar player, maybe I wouldn't say Meshuggah, because that's just wrist workouts for the most part. So
hurting the brain.
Yeah.
Devin Townsend probably for guitar then.
Townsend is a good idea.
Because he's just squealy D all day long.
Right. And Devin's really well at taking progressions and notes and just filling it with sonic sound, just sounds themselves, huge chords and just really good production overall. I would agree with Devin as well. Maybe, let me think. Yeah, there's Devin Townsend Project and Devin Townsend himself. Let me see. Anyone else? Not them. There's one band I might suggest.
You're still scrolling through your library.
I am. Yeah, I totally am. Is that bad?
Just say Mechina. Just say Mechina.
I mean,
you do.
Okay,
not
fine. Mechina and Call the Mothership as well.
Oh yeah.
But that's a biased opinion because obviously.
Yeah.
That's all. It's all I do. Listen,
gotcha.
Not really. But there's two local bands that are in the PA area. I would probably three. Excuse me, three. With a shout out on my local bands. Black Crown Initiate.
Oh god damn it, they're so good.
Yeah, they're awesome dudes. Awesome,
I've
very
seen them
huge memers.
Once.
Their new album's really good. I would also say Rivers of Nile. They're from this area as well.
Damn it.
Rivers of Nile. Hell yeah.
They're great.
And Illustrium. And that what Illustrium, that's another band that's kind of in the area. But Jörg, you showed me a band. Pathogen, who is also from this area. They're super cool too, dude. Pathogen's dope.
Great.
But here's another question. If we're talking about, those are bands with like vocals, what about bands with no vocals? In that scenario, I'd probably say I really like Covet, Animals as Leaders. It's kind of an easy. Mestis, which is I forget his name, but it's
basically Animals as Leaders without
without Tosin.
Without leaders.
Yeah. I really like a band called Covet. Really cool instrumental band. Kind of like Noodles
Yvette,
on the guitar.
Yvette Young.
Yeah, Yvette. Yes. She's great. Love her. Yeah. She's great. No, let me think if there's any other instrumentals.
Girl with a guitar.
Right? Let me think here.
Contortionist.
Contortionist, yeah. And Tesseract then. I guess we'll just go, the whole list. Contortionist, Tesseract, Periphery,
Yep.
Anything else, Tad? Joe, thoughts? No.
I'm trying to think of all the instrumental bands.
The Pliny.
Having a moment.
Nah, he's too. I don't know.
You think he's? Oh no, really?
It's just like soloing, like
just soloing all the time.
I think it's so boring. It's so boring. I would also say Crim.
Crim?
Yeah, like the solo project of the drummer of Septic Flesh.
Really? What? How is this spelled? I'm on.
Krymh.
I'm ignorant.
He has 3 albums out, and he's working on number 4.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I will look into this because I really like Septic Flesh. That's actually one of the first symphonic bands I got into before I knew about your stuff, Joe, and your stuff, Jörg, as well.
Yeah.
2011, I blasted the Great Mass like it was fucking candy. I love that album. Did anyone hear their most recent live album though?
Yep.
I'm not over the moon about it.
Not
He
the
didn't. He
production was
production was
was
meh, and
yeah,
he
it was
didn't know the
hard. It was
lyrics.
really hard.
Singer
Yeah,
forgot like half
that's
the
sad.
lyrics. It's like, oh,
That's
come on,
sad.
dude. I want
But
a good live show.
but you have to admit that he's like a really good like frontman and
Oh, he's
entertainer.
incredibly
It's like
powerful.
yeah,
Totally.
he's like this comic book villain kind of
Yeah,
with his sleek and strainy hair and his biomechanical suit
the
and
suits are
yeah,
dope. Yeah, totally. I love that shit.
yeah.
You guys do it
I
too.
love
You can call the
I
Mothership.
love stage outfits.
Hell
Love
yeah.
them. But theirs is like next level,
Next
like
level.
latex.
Multi-$1,000
Like,
suits.
I don't know if it's that expensive,
Maybe not,
but
yeah.
I know it's expensive.
Time or takes a lot of time to make those cups.
Yeah.
You think of anything, Joe? What do you think?
No, I haven't really thought of anything.
All right.
I mean, you're talking about Septic Flesh, and I was trying to think back of the first album I heard from them, and I don't remember the discography well enough to remember the first time I heard them, but it was very cool. I haven't kept up with them though, unfortunately.
Communion
Yeah.
was the first one when they added like a live orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great one.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna Google now. Watch this.
Watch this.
Watch
this, fam. Because I don't want to sidetrack you, but you liked a lot of Demi Bogear. You said back in the day, right, Joe?
Oh yeah, that's my jam. I mean, it was one of the first bands I ever heard of when when I was a little kid, 8, 9 years old, I heard Metallica for the first time, and that's how I got into it. Then all of a sudden my buddy showed me Cradle of Filth, and I was like, okay, that's cool. And then Demi Borgir was there, and I was like, well, this is cool too. And then it was all downhill from there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna find this CD. Hold on a second. Do. Yeah. Carry on, boys. Yeah, give me 1 second.
No worries.
Timo Borgir. Yeah, the first album I heard from them was Enthroned Darkness Triumphant. That was a great one.
I really liked what is this? I can't even pronounce this.
Death Cult Armageddon.
Yeah, that was 2003. Yeah, that one. I can't even pronounce it because I'm a big dummy. The blue and red one.
The
Puritanical, euphoric, misanthropia.
It was Sumerian Demons or Demons. That was the one that the first Septic Flesh. That was like way back in the day.
Ah, okay. Like before live orchestra.
Yeah, it was way more industrial, which was what I would back. I mean, shit, that was what 2003. I mean, I only started listening to that type of stuff in like 98, 99, 2000. So
yeah, exactly. Sumerian Demons. That was the last album. Then they made a very long break for 5 years, and then there was Communion, and that was the starting point of their style, which they're trying to perfect now.
I think they're working on a new album as we speak.
Yeah, they are.
Hell yeah.
They are really looking forward to it.
Indeed, me as well.
Yeah,
as well.
But they always followed this kind of H.P. Lovecraftian concept,
right?
Which brings me to my next question for you boys.
Here we go.
So as you're like badass prog guys, why is it important for you to have projects with a higher concept behind it. Not like just a musical concept, but also like why do you create the stories and worlds, and is it just for your own projects, or do you also think like another band is more interesting for you when they have like also like a story concept, or when they create like a world and you can listen to it while you're reading into it? That was a complex question.
I mean, those are kind of two questions. One's more, I think one could be directed more towards Michael, and one could be more directed towards me, in the sense of, I don't, as somebody who writes concept albums, I don't care. Like, it doesn't, like when I hear other people's music, I get it so out of my system by writing it that way that I don't go looking for it particularly. Do you know what I mean? It's if I listen to music, I'm listening to music, and if it's good, it may draw me in to find out more about it. Obviously, I'm not saying that, but if I wouldn't downgrade an album if it was a non-concept album or not. It does that. I'm totally neutral on that. But that's because I mean, as even right now, I'm writing lyrics and doing all that stuff for the next Mechina album, and like I am totally fried creatively. So I don't need to go looking for any more creativity right now in that sense. You know what I mean? So just because I'm in it, I would say for that one question, it doesn't matter to me per se. I'm always a big advocate of the music's got to be good, just in general. So as a songwriter, like I want the drums and guitars and bass and all that stuff. I want the music to be good on its own. And then as a songwriter, then you add on top of that and then try to polish it and so on and so forth. Right. But Mike, you should answer that too in that sense.
So I guess I'll answer first the question of why would I find conceptual stories within music more enjoyable? Start there, I guess. Please. I guess it's just another layer, like some added depth that, you look into it, and, especially if there's so many concepts, you like, there's a lot of, you can listen to Cannibal Corpse and be like, oh, that's such a great story. But like, but like, I like space shit. So sci-fi and, all that kind of content. So, when I found metal bands that are doing it, obviously I've enjoyed metal for probably 10 years at this point or so. So that's the genre of music I prefer to listen to. So finding, oh hey, this is a space metal story album. It's like, oh okay, neat. And you find out more about it, and then I think if enjoying a lot of content in itself, I love watching sci-fi shows. So just the whole, I guess, exploring it, and just having different stories, it really educates me, in terms of maybe writing something or being like, oh, I think of it differently, or how would you write this? It's just it's very enjoyable for me, and I think it just gives a lot of the songs themselves more meaning. And I agree with Joe. Generally the songs need to be decent on their own, and then polishing them, and then hey, we're gonna write this concept over it.
One thing I'd want to add on top of that is the one thing, as I'm not formally trained in writing per se. Like I do enjoy I do enjoy writing lyrics, but the thing is, one thing that I've tried to always do with concept albums is to like real stories, whether you see them on, whether it's a series on television, whether it's a book, whether it's a movie, whether it's music,
Mm-hmm.
the analogies have to be there. There has to be a connection with the real world.
Mm-hmm.
For even in that's what makes some fantasy and sci-fi genres go over the top, because some people like that because it's so out of reality.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that I always try to do is, even though I'm maybe, like, let's say, depicting um, a literal location within the story of the album,
Mm-hmm.
it you come to a point where you have to sit and say, how detailed am I going to make this
Right.
in a song? Like,
Yeah.
am I going to spell it out?
Right.
Without any, it's not a movie, it's not a show. You're relying on music, so
Mm-hmm.
there's a line you can't cross where you
Like,
start.
you mean how literal can you be
Exactly.
Right.
in your lyrics? Yeah.
And then also on top of that, let's say you want to it initiates, um, any good story's got some form of conflict. So if you're going to portray that any kind of conflict per se in a concept album, you do want to connect it to the real world and make it still relevant to people that are living right now, 2020.
Right.
Like, you want to write relevant lyrics in conjunction with a story, which is, hopefully your story can be used in conjunction with reality per se. It's a tricky game when you write concept albums, because there is lines you have to eventually not cross. That's why sound design, like transitions, when you do, if you want to do like a literal sound design, barely music section, that's cool, but you got to be in and out. You can't drag it on for too long, otherwise it's like, well, I'm just listening to a movie with no visuals,
Visuals,
which is cool. I'm not against doing a lot of that, but once again, you can lose casual listeners sometimes by that.
Sure.
Or you think, as a musician, you think, as the writer, you always expect that. It's just our self-consciousness. You're always like, well, they're going to see it this way, and you're like, you have no
Right.
idea.
Yeah,
I mean,
no.
it's
Right.
like, we all have songs that we've released that we were like, I can't believe people like this. Like, we all know, we all have that one song you just don't, and you never want to play, but for some
Right.
reason people like it, and you know what? It's not for you to say they can't like it. So
Yeah.
it's all good.
So I agree with you in the part that the conversation of, hey, how detailed can you be or should you be? I think when I started the idea for my story 3-4 years ago, I think I focused way too much on that. Like, I wrote a script, like pretty much a script of events, and I might have gotten a little too detailed. And even thinking about it now, it's kind of changed to the point where I'm only taking bits from the initial idea because it was missing. You talked about current events. I'm thinking a lot of current events right now and trying to mangle them somehow so that it's a little more, relative, or, relatable would be the
Sure.
more correct word for, current events and whatnot. Because that's what it was missing. It was just an idea. There weren't really many characters. It was just kind of an idea. And yeah, so over the course of 3-4 years, the story itself has changed, and I guess that's okay because I've thought about it more. Obviously, my brain has hit maximum capacity at the age I am. Thank God. So, and
Finally.
So yeah, thankfully it's I guess I didn't release anything too official to the point where it's oh, I got to backtrack and fix this plot hole now, and whatever.
It's yeah. Well, I mean, the one of the most interesting things about songwriting is you can write an entire song about the most minimalistic thing in a create. You can literally write a full song, full lyrics, just describing the color of something, if you wanted to. It would be hard, but you could, and then when you want to go like, okay, well, now we got characters and locations and events, and it's like you can
timelines.
You're the spectrum is all there, but you just got to find how, that's why I like writing albums so often, is because I get to bump into that wall all the time. And then it's never easy, but you learn your rhythms the more, once you learn your writing rhythm, then you can exploit you can use that unspent energy into more creative stuff sometimes. It's you only have so much energy every day.
Right.
But the thing is, as a modern metal band, your music isn't the only thing where you can tell the story. You can make, like, I don't know, kind of visual aids, or maybe write a book, or have some crazy fans and they put up a Wikipedia.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, so you have this this
you bring up a
like
point of like interpreting
multimedia thing,
Well,
which is not only the music, but it's built around the music. I mean, yeah, because you're in a band that makes music. This is your core thing, but you can also add around or on top like more stuff to tell your story, or tell what it is about.
You're absolutely right, and then in a lot of it's why Mechina's released a lot of art, and it came pretty clear around 2015, 16 that, like, if this was going to continue, like if this story was going to continue, we were going to try to get more art out. And nowadays, it's all audio visual. Like you have to have music with something. Some, I mean, it is quite key. So yeah, it's you got to have some kind of imagery. I mean, that's why we were talking originally, why the bands have certain type of styles on stage. They wear armor and shit. They want to, that's an audio visual cue that works,
Yeah, it is. And fun thing is that when people are in your music and in your band and in your art, you don't really have to make like this conclusive and I don't know, story or presentation without gaps. Yeah, you can just like make your 10 songs and put out an artwork and some visual stuff, and maybe like a background story to one aspect, and people are like put like so much brain works into it, and they put your concept and your story together for you. Like they fill the gaps. And I think this is a very interesting aspect. So you don't have to make like this, I don't know, this Lord of the Rings kind of 3 movies that take 3 hours, and everything has to be like really conclusive and thought out. It's more like you paint a picture and you leave some gaps.
Absolutely.
And people are talking about these gaps,
and that's connected directly towards how specific and detailed you make your story. If you leave gaps open, it will
what happens then is that either fans between them or fans between the artist and them start a dialogue, and they come up with ideas and questions and theories, and these I think this is very interesting because it makes the band bigger than just like the band members and everyone. So and what you do is you start to create some kind of community with it, who are identifying with your story or parts of it, and this is really what can I say? This is a really nice feeling, when they put themselves in your story, kind of. Which brings me to a question. Do you see yourself in your own concepts? Like, do you have an active role in the story? Like, would you say I'm this guy, or this guy is an aspect of me? Okay?
I always have considered. I've always considered when I put myself in the position of writing lyrics specifically, or like sound design specifically, I look at it in the sense of like a third party narrator or director of a sort. And I mean that very lightly, but I don't, the interactions and the concepts and the story elements within the concept album is where I sit. Where it's like I like to, I don't put myself in any character. It's all my job is to be like the I guess any writer's job for a concept album that especially has characters would to be the puppet master of it, the guy that sits up and creates the scene, so to speak, but in music form.
Right.
I don't know. It's a tricky one, but
I like the idea of, I think because the human mind and human emotion, one varies wildly between people. And I feel like in my personal, I guess, outlet, right, I like to take personalities within myself and maybe put them into multiple characters. Because I feel like just putting all my emotions into one character would be like, what a weirdo, what the fuck? And,
I mean, look at any movie. Any good movie you can relate some way with most of the characters, like in the right way, depending on the film, of course. But relatability is quite important.
Indeed. So spreading it amongst the good people and the bad people. It's like, oh, they did this because this reason, or whatever. Oh, fell in love, whatever. That kind of thing. So I like to branch it out. At least that's the mindset I want to have, expanding upon what I have so far.
And even then you almost need to dig, you need to fine tune it even more to a certain degree, because like the good and bad, quote unquote, hero's journey type story is a repetition of generations and honestly millennias, and the one thing when you get into talking about more specific conceptual elements is you almost need to pinpoint where you stand to a degree. And one of the things that I do with Mechina is I'm trying to reinforce the gray area of that black and white, or that's good and bad. Like one of the things that's specifically as for Mechina would be, I try to emphasize that gray area across the whole story. Because and that because when you say, if you're gonna write a love story, that's gonna go in a very specific direction. And once again, I'm not a formal writer. There's a lot of things that when you kind of are do-it-yourselfing the whole time, you're learning as you go, informally. So it's not there's no I know there's rules, but there's one of the greatest things about every song you make or listen to is it's a new experience each time. So at the very least, try to keep that into consideration.
Of course. I'm gonna ponder that for a minute. Your thoughts?
You have 1 minute right now to ponder about that. Yeah. Okay. That was a very complex answer to.
So
I apologize. Sorry.
No.
That's okay.
You guys are catching me right in the middle of right in the middle of an album, and I'm just
great.
It's all I've got. That's all I've got left. This is all I could talk about right now. I got nothing left.
I say, love story or whatnot. I don't necessarily want that to be like, in one case, the entire story. In fact, it's not going to be. It's just going to be, it
never really is.
It's
actually.
like, it's there, but it's not the thing, Yeah,
right.
It's the goal, at least. But again, we talked about how well does that come off. And that was really
just an example.
Yeah. Gotcha.
That was just an example, like love any story, really.
Yeah. Isn't there this theory, and maybe talking shit right now, isn't there this theory that there are like only 7 original stories or something like this?
I think so. I think I saw something about that, and then everything else is just either the combination of one of the 7, or it's something completely niche.
I don't know if it's even 7, but it's not a lot. It's not a lot.
I buy
everything
that.
Else. Yeah, like in.
I mean, well, how many chords are there on a piano? It's like there comes a point.
But on the other hand, are we talking about like stories in which culture? Yeah.
Okay. That's that's a tricky one.
Because also like in Central European music there are 12 notes, and only so much chords, but there is not only like Central European music, there's also like music from India and music from China and Japan, and they follow total different rules. And they have like quarter tones and stuff.
They'll change the frequency of the instrument to whatever,
and so you add more notes, and they're also like they have like, as far as I know, and I'm maybe talking shit again, they have at least in Indian music, I guess, they have like typical pentatonic rules that apply to different times of the day.
Interesting.
Yeah, which makes it more complex. Yeah.
It's like the gravitational pull of the moon changes the tone. It's like, what the
kinda. Yeah.
We need to build that instrument.
And so you have like a total different set of rules there. Yeah, and a total different music theory with it. Yeah.
Music theory is it's a language, so it's
but it's just one language,
Yeah, but
with a very
No, you're right. You're right.
basic rule set when it comes to like European music theory, which is like from my perspective like really simple compared to like Indian music theory. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, less complex maybe. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
to a degree. I mean, that's kind of the same thing, but in the sense of music theory in general, and this is coming from somebody who didn't do very good in it. It's something. There's a lot of analogies when I say that music theory is like a language, because it is kind of one language, but I mean, if you use the analogy of, you know, verbal language, I mean, we translate between each other, and it all comes back to meaning the same ideas. I guess different words mean same ideas, different scales in the same music theory spectrum, or range, I guess, limitations. It is weird because you hear it a lot, especially in Middle Eastern, the bends they do with like their singing. It just it to Western ears, it's still it makes your ears perk up because you're not used to it.
Yeah,
it sounds off. Yeah,
it sounds off, but it's interesting still.
Yeah,
yeah, it is very, very much.
I agree.
Yeah. How did we get there? No, I kind of lost it.
So you said like, oh, music theory is like one language. I'm gonna counter that point where it's one language, but there's 900 volumes for like different regions, different areas, stuff like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
True story.
No, just kidding.
You just won the game.
I won the game.
So Joe, you said you're in the middle of another masterpiece. And you guys in Mechina, you made like 1 million albums, like every year. Feels like it.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
And then in Michael's, I think it was the last podcast, you were talking about post album depression. Like, was it just a term, or is it like really like, okay, it's said and done and out in the world, and you're now in this emotional void where you cannot where you feel like, okay, what am I gonna do now with my free time?
Well, so I've as I've gotten older, the one thing that I've understood, the post album depression is a funny term, but it is real, and I think it varies depending on the person, of course. But the idea is when you are if you're doing an album over the course of 3 years, let's say you start an album at the beginning of 2017 and you're just wrapping it up, your allotted time and your patterns are probably spread far enough apart where once that album's released, nothing's changed. If you're in a grind where you're running through an album in a matter of a few months, for say, let's say in the traditional sense, we're going in the studio, bring your drums, we're doing all the drum tracks, it's gonna take a week, everyone's doing the work, we're doing the edits, blah blah blah. And then right after that, the next week is guitars. After that, the next week is bass and vocals. And you're doing an album in a month, in a traditional sense, when you would, back in the day when we would have to go to studios.
And back in the day.
Back in my day. Now with the ability to kind of do it yourself in the regards of albums, when what I notice is, right around June, July, I start getting the momentum going, and right around October is when every day I work on it. It's my job now officially. Like every day I'm at least putting a few hours in, and you get that rhythm going, and every day is hard. Every day is trying to make something out of nothing, for example, and you do that over the course of a month or two, and all of a sudden, album's done, it's out. Your body and your mind is still at that same pace, and you're sitting around sitting around the day after release saying, well, I feel like I need to be doing something, and
so you write another album, right?
Well, what I noticed I do is this happened 2 years in a row, because right after an album, I took like a week off or so, and usually it's mostly logistics. I got to get CDs prepared and shipped out and all that good stuff. And then I'll sit around once the dust has settled, and I'll maybe start a new song. And I'll see if anything happens, and then maybe I'll just be like, ugh, I'm going to go do something else. And now at this point, like I've gotten to the pattern where it's like, I'll back off. Instead of me doing 10-hour days, I'll do 4-hour days. And because the 10-hour days last about twice a week, because then you fuck your sleep schedule up. You you don't feel well because you're forgetting. If you grind all day long, you're gonna break yourself out. So the post-album depression is very dependent on people, and a lot of the bands I'm around, when they're wrapping up their albums, they seem to kind of, the guys that don't deal with it well they just kind of sit around. And that's a form of depression, I guess. You could. It's just a term, but it is the lack of a momentary lack in purpose that you need to get a hold of, and still, not. You don't want to put your whole. I've made the mistake of putting everything into an album, and you got to be careful. You just got to be careful.
Can I ask, if that's okay, how did that feel when it first hit? When you were like, okay, good, the album is out, there's nothing more I can do. You also did all the logistics and artwork and blah blah blah. So it's released, and we're talking about this moment then, when it came to like full stop. What happened? How did you experience it, and how did you get out of it?
Well, once again, I love feedback. One of the things that I can say is that Mechina's fan base is not huge, but it's got a good base. It's very everybody's cool. Everybody likes to chat and and the feedback,
very invested.
Yeah, and I'm always very humbled by that, because when I release something, I'm, you put all this time in, and you want people. I mean, you're making music. You want people to like it. So I'm always like, those first few days after the album is released, I'm really paying attention and seeing what's happening. And I like seeing what's happening. And, I've made mistakes before with albums, and I've caught trends of comments and seeing paths, and, you're always in a forest going down paths, and you kind of got to know when to stop and turn around and go the other way. In regards to especially feedback nowadays, especially with people online being, there's a lot of negativity, but, our fan base is pretty, I'm always happy to hear from them. So when an album's done, I'm kind of sitting around and seeing. I'm checking my work after I've turned it in. I'm seeing what's like striking a nerve, what's catching on, which one of the songs is doing which one's taking off better, for example, because then you learn the first 6 months of this year, I couldn't write at all. And I had massive writer's block. But the thing is, I sat around and I thought I spent more time doing other things. And we all had a lot of time to do other things this year. So instead of me grinding in the studio trying to figure out songs, in spring, I tried to sit around and look at and put in context of all the music that I've written, and try to look for large scale trends in the sense of what are people liking, what songs, just taking the aesthetics of it was very much a very introspective musical analysis. And then I'm glad I waited, because as soon as I think it was June, it clicked, and I was ready to go right back in. That's allocating post album time correctly. Sometimes you've got like I always say, you got to find your rhythm, and my rhythm wasn't there at the early part of this year, and I had to wait for it to happen. And I don't implore anybody to sit around for 4 years waiting to figure out their rhythm. You gotta always keep moving. But I try not to. I don't fall apart like I used to after albums, so it's all good now. It's a great time. I'm really happy to be, usually at this point, since 2011, and if you were to talk to me, any album before this, I'd be a mess. I'd be sleep deprived. I'd be, disheveled as hell. I wouldn't be taking care of myself, or I wouldn't be taking care of anything else other than the album. And when if you get like that, the album will be done, and then you'll turn around and look at the mess you weren't paying attention to and be like, fuck, damn. You know what I mean? You can learn the hard way that way. So I'm really, I'm in a better place in the sense of I'm not worried. I'm not sitting around. I always implore people, even if you're not playing shows or practicing with the band or whatever, just can always write. Try to always write, because you're going to learn every time you write a song. And if you write enough of them, once again, I'm going to get redundant and say the rhythm is what you got to find. You got to find your rhythm with it. And that's emotionally and socially, you don't want to you don't want to get to the position where all your friends don't know where you are for 6 months. You know what I mean? Look,
the guy's back with
I remember
album,
you.
But but you have a beard and like really white skin because you wear inside all the time. Look like some castaway.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay, get it. Yeah.
I can't comment too much because, like I said, I haven't toured, never toured. Haven't formally released anything. So, but I think I fall into kind of the opposite issue than Joe is. Maybe not. Maybe I'm overstepping, but
no, I love hearing this shit. So
I'm such a perfectionist. I kind of always have been, and I guess learning how to get into it and write and all that kind of stuff. I've kind of got a little bit of like mixing and stuff like that into some sort of a structure. I'm figuring that out. But overall, what's most important is, I guess, how the songwriting itself. So, what notes go good together. Play fifths and triads all day. And what I like to do now is I like to do a 1/5, and I usually octave the third above an octave. And I'm finding that kind of chordal writing resonates with, I get that, Because if you play a triad, it's like, it's like, all right, whatever. I so like to, yeah.
When you mention being a perfectionist, you're also and this is kind of me. Like if I were sitting in the studio with you and you said that to me and you were about to write an album, I would say you would be hard pressed to be putting that type of perfectionist pressure on yourself when you're still trying to figure out your sound.
Yeah.
You can't be a perfectionist if you're experimenting.
Okay.
And perfectionism is quite subjective. You better be real careful how you. I've seen guys spend 3-4 years writing 4 songs.
Right. And
okay,
guy,
you know what I mean? And I'm telling you, it doesn't have to take you that long. It really doesn't. But I understand, and I've seen, and I've been in the studio with guys that just they're literally sitting with an EQ trying to figure out how to make the distorted bass track just fit better with the snare low. It just not nonsense that you deal with at the end. So you once again, when perfectionists, I get it. When we all want to consider ourselves perfectionists, but the problem is, the sooner you accept that you're never going to be one, it allows you to be more free with your writing. Like when I sat down this June, I just let it go. I just let it go. I just wrote whatever I felt. I didn't have any expectations of myself.
Right.
Just and guess what? It's fun. It's actually fun.
Freeing.
It's actually fun.
It's actually fun because
finally,
music
is finally fun.
It's finally fun. When you go into a project with being on top of yourself for no real reason, it's gonna be painful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's you've got to kind of let once again, this also depends whether you're in a band, a full band where it's like, you've got a 5-6 piece,
other people, or and how it's structured.
Of course, that changes the situation to a degree. Then you have a committee decision, or every band is different, so you got to find the right recipe with communication and all that stuff. As being a producer or a solo artist or something like that, you've got to be on top of yourself. That you're the only one in control. Or so to speak, like everything is, if something breaks, it's on you.
Then it's your fault.
Yeah. So you've got to that's a good trait to have, because then you're at least on your toes and paying attention, but you don't want it to weigh you down to the point where nothing gets done.
Yeah.
It's helpful because I've had that issue really I guess I've had an issue overcoming that personal trait I have pretty much my whole life, because like we talked about, we did our little test stream here. We talked about doing models and stuff like that. If you talk to 9-year-old me trying to make a model, if I fucked up, I'd be like, fuck it, I'm done. Fuck this. Bye. I'm going to go do something else. Because I'd be so upset. It's like, oh, it was going so perfect. Everything was so perfect. Then I fucked up. Then it's like, so like, it's kind of weird. I don't know, that I'm in my late 20s still having to deal with this.
It's nothing worth doing is going to be easy. So it's being able to, not throw the model away. It's being like, oh wait, I can fix this, or I can do it. I at least learned from my mistake. God forbid. It's like, that's how you get better at anything, is doing more of it and messing up. You don't learn anything when you I'll take that back. You learn way more when you fail. We've all kind of heard this be said before, and it's true. It's just your reaction to how you cope with it.
Yeah.
But it's also not. But failing is only like the first part. Like you said, you took the time to self reflect on your own art. So that's the second and most important step. Like, to pick up the pieces and look them through and see, okay, where did it go wrong, or where can I improve, or where is my strength or uniqueness in my art. And this is a very tedious and sometimes painful process for many people. So when they fail, they just let it
There's a reason artists have a reputation for being
depressed.
Well, being all types of things.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it takes a certain type of, especially if they've been doing it for a long time. You know, it's a certain type of mindset. But you know, it's picking up the pieces after, let's say, a particular failure, not a complete failures are, you know, rare. I mean, that's you know what a complete failure is? Writing an album and not releasing it. So the minute failures can be, if you're paying attention, you can say, so I'm gonna I'll just use this I'll just use one of my own examples. On one particular album, there was one particular song where the vocals were mixed way too low, and I had to sift back, and I noticed that after the fact, of course, but then I had to sift through and look back to what was I doing that caused that mess up, and accepting the mess up, and then being like, all right, I'm going to put extra emphasis now on making sure that doesn't happen again. You know, it's pretty normal stuff. It's hard because we're dealing with abstractions with music. This isn't, we're not building a Lego set here. So it all starts in your brain, and it's got to come out into audio. So there's a lot of weird things that happen in that chain. There's a lot of noise too.
Would you consider, you know, in terms of like writing songs, is it something that, you know, this is a question to both of you. Is it something you generally hear? It's like, oh wow, that's neat. I sometimes get that at like 10 minutes before I'm falling asleep, which is not helpful at all. Or is it more like, you know, I'm noodling around on piano or whatever, guitar or whatever. It's like, oh, I like that. I'll record that, and then building upon that.
Okay.
You take that one first.
Yeah.
With my current project,
sure.
It's like really weird because, you know, in Mothership we have I first write a story. And then I think about how would this sound like in a prog metal thing.
Right.
So I'm kind of preparing myself for what I'm looking for. Yeah. So is the topic something like really hopeful? Then, you know, how it maybe would sound. Yeah. And then it's a mixture. I know where I have where I have to look for it, and then the noodling around starts. Do
you know what do you noodle around with first? Like, which do you write? Like, what do you write first, or what do you do to start? So let's say you have or even so you say you have you get your story, you kind of like your script, and then you start. Then it's time to put sound into it. What are your tools of starting that empty blank session on your computer? Like, what do you do to get that going?
When I
and it can be different per song. I know. Sometimes that happens.
When I know it's not it's gonna be not that groove heavy. It's more like chords and chord progressions, and then of course I go to the guitar first and try to figure out which chords to use and to fill the gaps. And when it's more groove heavy, then I take bass guitar first.
Interesting. Cool.
Yeah, because Actually, I mean,
do you jam with your drummer, or do you jam to a click, or do you program some like basic bitch drums and write like what do you? Because sometimes grooves really rely on drums.
Yeah. I mostly start like with kind of the feeling I want for it.
Okay.
And I write it. It sounds stupid, but I write standing up. Yeah. To like feel it better. Yeah. And then I know kind of like out of my movement and out of like what my body does. Yeah, I know. Okay, it's kind of like in this range of BPM, and then I set the metronome, and I'm like kind of boring because most songs are like the same speed. Like
especially at the beginning. You're just like, oh, this riff again.
and I mean, yeah, and then I set up the metronome, and I know the speed of the song, and then I write, and then it just goes on. Yeah, cool. then it just comes kinda, and I don't really dwell on so many details because for everything else, even for guitars, I have like all the other band members, and they're like better in it, and I take care about context, and they care about details.
Cool.
So it's just, I want the drums to be kind of like this, and I want that bass guitar like kind of like there, and
just examples, and then let them run with it.
Just I always present them to the band, like the whole concept, and like how the song would go roughly, so they know the framework, and they know how what feeling we're looking for.
Gotcha.
And then everybody works on their own, and it works out
just
details, and then we revise
as put the polish on it.
Yeah, kind of cool. But it's nice to take care only on the like how can I say, on the macroscopic scale, and then I just hand out the work.
Cool.
And they do it on their own.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a nice thing.
Hell yeah.
Actually, I'm very happy to find guys like that.
Hey, good band members are hard to find, man. It takes time.
It is. Yeah, because great musicians are often not so great project partners. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's finding there's a joke about being in a band. It's
there are many jokes about being in a band.
No, that's true. It's the family you hate that you actually chose to be with.
Right.
You know, so having level-headed co-writers and co-members and stuff like that is makes life so much easier.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I was kind of, how can I say? I was kind of strict when it came to this, because I was working out on the whole concept, and not only like what our band should sound like and what it's about, but also like how we are going to work and what we're going to do, and how we're going to do it. Yeah.
Sure.
And I was like, okay, this
you were taking like managerial roles, in the sense, like with the band, you were guiding the hand of the band, in a sense, as a member, because sometimes that happens in a good way, where someone in the band can kind of take a little bit more macro control of like helping it stay together. Even if sometimes you need the leader in the group to help keep it from having a bad band practice day can screw everyone up. You know what I mean? So
yeah. It's true. I mean, I was in the beginning, I said, okay, the band is about this, and it would sound like that, and I will do like all the work, and I make all the conceptual stuff, and I basically I'm looking for people who want to work in this frame with me and who are interested in this kind of music. Do you want to do that? Yeah. And so like before people joined, they knew exactly how we're going to work and in which time frame what stuff will happen and how much money will be involved and so on and so forth.
Gotcha.
So because it's nice to start the band with your best friends and write songs into the blue and look out for your first live gig and yada yada yada. And I had that, and that was nice, but I wanted like more control over it. And I said, okay, whatever goes wrong, I take ownership of that, because I'm literally like our concept is kind of literal, the captain of the ship. So whatever happens, it's on me. And gladly I found people, and they were like, hey, this sounds nice, and I like the concept, and I like the genre, and let's fucking do it.
Cool.
And we did it.
Good.
Nice.
Good.
Yeah.
Functional band.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's so functional, it's so boring.
Hey, don't say that, man. You don't. But
But the thing is, I really like boring when it comes to like organization and management. It's
that means things are working.
Just have to go. Just do it. No hiccups. Especially when we're playing live, we're like the most boring band to meet, because we're always on location like an hour before we actually have to be there. We set up, we come with our own techs, we do everything on time. When people say, do you need anything more, we're like, no, it's okay, it's good, thank you.
Good. Thank you.
All right.
And when we're done, we just pack up and leave. That's how we deal with it. So it's like we're a kind of boring band when it comes to that, because
it's okay.
I don't know.
It could be worse, man. It could be worse.
Of course, there is no rock bottom when it comes to rock star bands. I mean we're not doing like big stuff or like touring. I mean the biggest thing we're doing is like weekenders. I mean I had my fair share of touring around Europe, and it's really taken a lot. I mean I made
take the
Van.
time off too.
I mean I worked like full time like my whole life, and I also made like, in addition to that, like full-time bands. So when it came to touring, it was always like I took my free days for it.
Gotcha.
or overtime hours and stuff. So I had to work like 2 full-time jobs, kind of, because band was full-time also, no?
Yeah.
And I mean I made van tours. I also made nightliner tours, and nightliner tours are actually not really hard, to be honest, because you just I don't know, you just throw your body in the bus and you sleep and you wake up at the next location, and then you do the same thing that you did the days before. You just set up, make sound check, you
sit around and wait.
Yeah, I mean, sit around, yeah. But I also was like, this is like those are like my free days, and I'm in a city where I never was before.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Explore.
I just take my camera, and the cool thing is when you're in a metal band, it's really easy to spot other metal guys. Wherever you are, they look the same. You know, the guy with the metal shirt and the long hair, and you're like, hey, cool person, I'm in this cool band. And when you take time and show me around, I set you and your best friends onto the guest list, and you just come over, and 9 out of 10 metalheads are like, yo, bro, show you around town and shit. Yeah, and then I meet those guys at night at the show, which is great. Also, I mean, of course you can sit around and do nothing, and people chose to do so. And but I made some great connections over all of Europe with it, which is nice. And I felt like, okay, time was well spent. But when you tour and you don't go crazy with partying and alcohol and drugs and all this rock and roll stuff. As I said, I'm very boring. So I was just, when we went to a new town, I was just wandering around until soundcheck time, unloaded, made soundcheck, ate something, warm up, play the show, leave again, right into the bus.
Easy.
Sleeping.
Easy.
Yeah. Then you can do it for 3 weeks nonstop. Sure. It's not that hard, actually.
Yeah. It's the booze. It's the booze. It's guys that drink all the time. It's like they're all Right.
Booze and drugs.
Fuck you up, boys.
And not having like a schedule.
Yeah.
Like oversleep all the time. And when you don't watch out what kind of food you eat. because tour food can really be nasty.
For sure.
Yeah. And so it's easy. Harder is it when you have to drive by yourself, and when you don't have a decent place to sleep, like when you have to sleep in the van or sleep on
a reclined seat in a car.
Yeah. That is hard. I mean bunks in the bus are not really deluxe stuff.
No, but at least you can sleep flat. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it kind of resembles a bed, and
it has a pillow.
Yeah. And I mean, is the right word, like private sphere, like when you can shut off like everyone else when you're by yourself. What's the word? Help me, guys.
Like a private bedroom thing?
Yeah. I mean, you are never alone when you're on tour.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because the only thing that you can put up as a barrier is like a curtain, but it's not a full curtain. So either your head or your toes are like visible, which is also weird. And I mean that can take a toll on some people. But as I said, being in a bus and touring around is not that hard when you follow like a small set of rules.
Sure.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, never get lost.
Never get lost.
It's a good one. Yeah. Travel light. Yeah. Did you have a tour?
We never really played outside of the Midwest. In America, we trying to think. So when we were Yeah, we only did weekends. Sometimes we do a few shows a weekend, but that we haven't done that in years. I mean, we haven't played shows since 2013, and
Yeah.
before that it was trying to think. I mean, we played the one thing that I can say about the shows is it was just the Chicago area, the big, you know, the all the suburbs around it and all the venues in it and stuff like that. When we were playing in, 2007, 2008, 2009, it's it the scene is I'm not I kind of stopped paying attention to the scene in Chicago, and um it was I don't miss playing shows. Honestly, we it was always like 1 out of the 10 shows we would because when you're not playing covers and you're on maybe a little bit more of the extreme version of metal, your venue limitations, especially out here, will dwindle.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're playing, this little, 50-person bar with barely a stage in front of 4 people. You do that a bunch of times. I mean, back then we didn't have, there was something weird. We weren't getting fans live.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a different, we sounded totally different than we do now. Well, I mean, roughly. But the thing is I just didn't want to, we went through a lot of band members, like a lot of them, and a lot of it was schedule based. It just never seemed to pan out. And when I kind of stopped with the shows and put my energy into just writing more, I found I was more, this made being in music more purposeful than constantly trying to go through band members, trying to get the right, live set. Like it was that kind of took the back seat, and I was on to, I'd rather produce than have to be a stage manager for my entire band. So I kind of got a little bit, my circumstances were a little bit different, where we played, the surrounding states. I went on tour for like 2 weeks with another band just as fill-in guitar. It was just a rock band, rock, more like not new metal, but simple stuff. And we were on the road, and that was not very fun. And I was like, I think I'm gonna just go back to producing. I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was pretty straightforward for me.
Yeah. I mean, with it's interesting that you said, like, with Mechina, you first were a live band, and then you kind of concentrated on writing and producing and being like kind of this studio slash internet band, if that's okay. That's the term some people take. Cyber band. Yeah. Actually, I was like thinking of a joke before, because I only know Joe from your podcast, and I only know this black and white pictures, and I was like, is it really Joe, or is it Joe's AI? So Joe can write another album, and he just sends like, I got this computer program, and they just talk with it.
I could only be so lucky to have that type of technology.
It's great. It works. Yeah. So Mechina was a live band first, and now it's not. It's cyber band, which is a great term. Thanks, Mike. Cyber band. It sounds so 90.
Aren't we all just in the 90s?
With Call the Mothership, it was the exactly the other way around, because when I found the band in 2013, I was like, okay, guys, we're going to write an album and then more stuff like an EP and singer and so on and so forth. And then we think about playing live, because I don't want to concentrate on stuff like this. I want to make music and music videos and visuals and art and story and blah, blah, blah. And when we have enough content and enough music and enough people that are interested in our stuff to go live, then we think about how we can manage it to put the band on stage. So also all my touring experience comes from bands before Call the Mothership.
For sure. No, that's great. That's great, because at this point, like, you know, the shit, I was 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 when I was doing all those shows. And I, you know, when you're in that early stage of being in a band, you don't really know much. So it was like I was grinding through the live scene, not knowing what I know now, for example. And that it's funny how that ended up kind of not making me jaded, but kind of just pushing my life direction somewhere else, because of, you know, if I were to stop, let's say with where I'm at now, and if I were to, you know, start a band, I would know way more than I did back then on how to go about it. Much like your circumstance, you had experience in previous bands, and you started this band with all that previous knowledge, and then you've got that just going. I'm just too complacent on band tryouts, and this year it was nobody could hang out, so, you know, we'll just write another album. Fuck it.
What exactly do you mean with complacent? Like you had enough of it, or?
Yeah, I just kind of, well, here's the thing. It's not so much, I'm open-minded on like, I will never rule out Mechina never playing live again. I'll never do that, because life's too complex and too random and too chaotic, and you know, you never know. I'm complacent in the only sense that I've found, see, when I look at Mechina as like a long-term, like, not experiment, but like a study. Like every time I do an album, I'm looking and I'm learning something from it. And I like that. I like putting myself in those type of circumstances to have to learn and get and trick, you know, trick myself into getting out of, you know, let's say some repetitive, just experimentation musically is always how I start songs. You know, like I'll write a, you know, when we figured out what the next Mechina album was going to be called and what it was going to be about, we put the art to it, and we kind of figured out, like, okay, this is, I've got a basic idea. You know, it's a paragraph long summary. I just write a paragraph or two summary of what this album's going to be, and then I move on straight to a blank Pro Tools session, and I just throw paint at the canvas and see if a pattern arises. And sometimes I'll start with a choir melody. Sometimes I'll start with a timpani rhythm that is very interesting, that gives me an idea for drums. I'll use a synth to find my chord progression, and then all of a sudden that synth I'll put drums to, and then oof, I got some guitar ideas. You know, it's all just a as of recently, that's kind of where I go with starting songs, because I don't, I have ideas on like, okay, these song, I know what I want to talk about in regards to the story roughly. I usually write, and this has been this way for many years, where I'll write, between 7 and 10 songs, and I'll look, and I always fall back to, I got to make sure these songs can kind of provide the shoulders for the rest of it to kind of stand on. Like, let's write, 10 good demos, however they end up being, however they started. Just, I rarely throw tracks away. Whatever I start, I try to finish. And as I get further along with the song and then the vocal, so we've done a very interesting experiment with this new upcoming Mechina album with how we're doing the vocals. And what I ended up doing was, once I had all my demos, rough, a structure, quote unquote, a rhythm section. The first instrument I ever learned was drums. So I will literally take an atmosphere, and before I even plug my guitar in, I'll just start writing drums to it, because it's fun. And what I ended up doing was getting my structures ready, and then I brought Melissa in I gave her a song, and I was just like, Mel, go into the booth, and I want you to just sing on it. Here's the scale. I want you to just freestyle. I want you to go
whatever
with it.
Comes. Yeah.
And not non-lyric stuff. We have a new method where she just kind of, if you tell someone to sing, they're just going to be holding long notes. And I'm like, I want you to sing like you're saying words, kind of, but they're not really anything. And I let her run through like 3 or 4 takes, and then I'll go through and I'll find all the best little pieces of those freestyles, and
then you write the lyrics,
and then I construct pieces of that to make my verses, for example, or my choruses, for example, and then I have a reference that helps me write lyrics to it. At that point, once I find out what kind of lyrics I want to put in, that's when I decide which track will end up being for which concept. So I don't let the concept dictate my song. Usually, unless I know right off the bat, like, okay, like Ode to the Forgotten Few with Mel and the piano, that song was pre-planned to be that way. Yeah, obviously. But, if you have 5 back-to-back metal songs, those are in order specifically because the vocal concept and the lyrics worked well with those songs. And then I'll use transition methods in between tracks to kind of make it flow.
Otherwise, you can just switch them around when you have It is so funny that you're talking about this method right now, because at the moment we're working with a producer that did the exact same thing to our singers. He was like, okay, it's nice that you wrote lyrics and you have sentences to it, but I want you to go into the booth and just do a thing. Just whatever comes to your mind. It doesn't have to be like English words. You can just vocalize and shout, and let's see what comes out. And because he's trying to tap into like the natural rhythms and the natural how can I say it, percussive forms that come out of each individual. I mean we are like a 2 vocalist band, so
he's looking for a consistent thread that he can then that he can tie
and
with
whatever surprise comes out of it.
Sure.
And then we have the percussive structures of the vocals.
Okay.
And then we fill it with like real words and like the real content. Yeah. Which feels like a similar approach to what you just.
It's not super glamorous, but
no, it's not. It feels very, very messy and very experimental, and you have to.
We're being honest, artists is like, oh, I just go in the studio and I just write it, man. It's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. You sit in the studio and you cry. You blame your guitar for being out of tune, and you yelled the drummer for being off the click, and the bassist is late, and blah blah blah. It's all a mess. So the ends justify the means in the studio usually. So that's funny.
I'm an artist. I just write what comes out of me.
No, bro. I mean, sometimes that happens, but it's it's not supposed to be easy.
Not very often, right?
If it's easy, you're not working hard enough. Especially in the writing stage.
That was deep.
Are you supposed to hate yourself after you write something? It's like, oh my god, my mind hurts. I'm gonna go die now.
No, you don't want to write music that makes you hate yourself. That's not that's not a long-term strategy for success.
Hating it and then doing one thing or adding one thing and being like, oh wow, it works now.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah. I'm happy now.
I have a weird empathy for I've said this before, and I've said it out loud to artists. I'm sure I've said it on podcasts too. It's like I look at songs as being their own thing, and I'm trying to help initiate a song become completed. So that's why I don't really waste tracks. Whenever I work on a track, I look at it with empathy. I look at it with, like, especially in its early stages, it's too soon for me to cringe at. It's too soon for me to like think this demo is beneath what it's, like people work on demos and they'll throw them out being like, oh, it's not. Well, it's like, you just keep working at it, keep polishing it.
Yeah.
And you'll find out, because everyone's trying to write the best song ever every time they write a song.
Yeah.
But you come to realize at the end, every song has its limitations of what it can be. Otherwise, you're going to start changing the song again. And I've seen that happen with artists, where they'll work on a song and they'll just constantly be changing structures and beats, and the song ends up finished, until it ends up being a different song. Yeah. And then what did you do, really? I really hope it was worth it. So I try to look at early stage songs with empathy, and knowing that that there is something there if you put the work in and you dig deeper into it. So
what's your take on like both of you guys on re-releasing stuff?
Oh fuck.
Oh, are you aware, Jörg, that what Mechina did?
I know.
Okay.
I think that's why you brought it up.
I was hoping because you guys just did that.
We call that a gotcha
album.
I'm totally fine with it.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit.
I'm also okay with it. And if the compendium is such an interesting experiment, because I knew it was going to do something. It's what we had a conversation. I think we talked about this last time, Michael. Like when we were going to it actually was up to debate that we were going to take down all the old music and just put the compendium up.
Right.
Yeah. Your reaction is exactly what came to be. And but I had to think about it. I was like, well, would that be a wise move? And pretty quickly I realized that that's suicide. And then I just kind of let it go with the compendium in the sense of like, I learned so much doing that project, and I learned so much about my previous material going through them again, that it was, there were obviously songs that were enhanced by the re-release, and there were definitely songs that were maybe change. Well, the opposite of that. Probably it hurt the song more. And the reason that happened was there was a consistency method I was trying to do with this box set, where it was all one tone. Mm-hmm. And I discovered a lot about what that does to a project by doing the compendium. And once again, I look at it as a learning experience. People have their opinions. A lot of it is quite accurate too, regarding the re-releases, and you're just going to get that regardless. Even take Mechina out of the picture. Re-releases are risky in general because people are so accustomed to the original source that you're changing it one way or the other, whether it's just like some people will re-release an album and they'll just remaster it and get it way louder, for example, or mix it a little bit different. And then there's re-releases where they objectively change things. And that is, it's do it at your own caution, for sure. But it's okay. It's all okay. I mean, one thing that the amount of support that we got for the compendium with our fan base. I mean, it really helped consolidate our ability. Yeah, there you go. Thanks, Mike. It really,
thanks.
It did allow us to, people were excited for it, and it was a good event. It was a hell of a project. I think, the subjectivity that comes with it is just like any other album release. You're gonna have people who like it, you're gonna have people who don't like it, and you just learn from it, and it's okay. It's all good.
True. Shout out Mechina fans.
You got one in chat. Rock Combos in chat. Hey, buddy. I'm on from the Discord.
Okay. Did you ever have the feeling like back in Conqueror was
2011, yeah.
2011. Like back then when you released a song, like the whole thing, did you ever have the feeling that one song or even more songs maybe are not really finished?
I feel that with every album I do.
Okay.
And one thing that goes back to what we were talking about before. Sometimes
you're like a song is never finished, but it just released at some point.
I mean, once again, I'm very cautious on where I go with my mind on that one, because you can fall into that pit and then nothing's ever finished.
Yeah.
But I don't like to use like I don't. The only time I feel that is when I mess up on my schedule and I realize like, oh, I literally didn't put enough time in. Like that's a different feeling than, man, I wonder if this song, if the vocals were just a little bit brighter, would have made it so much better. Like that's not that's something there's objective and then there's subjective, and the subjective stuff you kind of got to let flow in and out, and hopefully as long as you put in the work and you care about it and you actually put your heart into it, worst case scenario, you accomplished something, you put in the work, you learned something, hopefully you got better at it, and the worst case scenario is nobody likes it. You know what I mean? It's like that's just the way, that's the worst case scenario. So if that's as bad as it gets, then keep writing music and you'll find your fan base. I mean, shit, 2011 is not even the same. We're not even talking about the same band idea. I mean, I'm definitely not the same person I was 9 years ago, in the sense of where I was with Mechina. So, it's when I released Conquer, I was pretty, at that time, I was like, yeah, this is fine. This is fine, I think. Empyrean, the next album, the 2013 release, was the one I learned a big. I that one I released, and I realized within a week that I messed something up, and that was me just trying to become a better engineer and not doing a very good job, particularly. And I noticed there was a trend. Once again, when you look through your feedback after a release, you have to kind of sift through what's worth sifting through, and you'll find trends. And I noticed right away, like, people are like, hey, the songs are good, but guys, like, what the fuck's up with the mix? And I was like, oopsies. I think I may have messed up. And that's why we did the re-release, which I tried to do like a month later, and I don't know if I really did enough. I mean, but that's all I knew. I mean, it's easier to say that now in context and in hindsight, but back then, you kind of got to just take it with, you won't know until you do it. So
I think there was a difference for Empyrean 2.0. Empyrean got done 3 times, right? First time, second time, and 3 times, right?
Right.
Why 3 times again? Can you?
So the original release came out, and then the mix wasn't very good overall.
Yeah.
And then I did a re-release. Like, I went in and remixed it in within a month, and then I gave everyone who bought this. I gave everyone who bought the CD the new mix for free. Like, I think I just was like, here's version 2, and then I did a print of like a few digipacks, and then the compendium was the 3rd mix, the re-release, the one we did a few years ago.
Okay.
So surprisingly enough, the songs on Empyrean, really, there were some really good ones in the compendium. Like, the compendium really helped that album.
Yeah.
But we won't talk about Xenon, because I know.
That was the 3rd release.
Can I say I do like a few of the songs on the revision of Compendium. But I think Xenon just impacted me so much, the original mix. It's just so,
I know.
I guess
I know. I know.
And it's
the whole atmosphere, the whole atmosphere of that album is what made it that special. And when it got swept into the consistency mix of the whole project, when it was kind of given like what the latter albums sounded like, it really did change the atmosphere for it. So I get it. I agree. I know. Trust me, as I worked through it, I was like, oofsies. Some of these songs changed a little bit. It's out of my control. I'm sorry, guys.
No worries. No worries. Can I bug you about any samples, new samples, Joe?
Like virtual instrument type stuff?
Yeah. Did you get Damage 2?
They made a Damage 2.
What?
Oh, no,
really?
I haven't been paying attention, man.
It's been out for a bit. It's so good.
I bet it's awesome.
I bet it's awesome. Huge improvement.
That's crazy to say, because
huge.
It's the best. The first Damage library was phenomenal. Just the sound was so good. So you say that it's even better is crazy. Oh my god! Don't threaten me with a good time.
I think you should get a what do they call it? Oh god, like a discount because you're on the original. So
gotcha.
yeah,
Cool.
just voucher, whatever.
Yeah,
Check your
I'll
email.
look into it. I'll take a look into it. I haven't I've gotten so many virtual instruments over the last few years. I kind of like stopped looking into it. I was like, I don't need any more shit to sift through. You know, it's like, but it's I can only imagine the loops they have in Damage too.
Yeah, it's I'm still collecting and trying to build. It's like, oh, that's neat. I'll use that somewhere. There's one library I'm really into right now. It's the 0G is the company, and it's the Ethera Gold 2.5 library. They just released a Cyberpunk expansion pack, and so good. It's so awesome. Very, very good choir, I should say. It's a female and a male vocal. Phrases, they got tons of, like, at least 25 different, like, feels and whatever you want to call it, scales, whatever. And it's not just that, it's drums, synths. It's really, really a good library, and it's fairly inexpensive, I think, for what you get. But it's I've been going there a lot and just noodling.
Cool.
I get my keyboard on my desk and put this underneath. I'm gonna get like an under desk thing. Because the whole idea with this desk is I was on like an angle and my piano was facing this way. Speakers were here.
Yeah,
like,
put that in front of you.
Yeah,
put that in front of you. You'll be happy with it.
Yeah, so that's why the new setup.
It's looking good, boy.
Hell yeah. Red.
Desk.
Red.
It would just make me furious. Like all the red. It's just,
I'm so angry.
Yeah. I have to write angry music now. I'm angry.
Well, it's all changeable. Of course,
Really?
Oh yeah, totally.
So you can switch the lights and just go like. Oh, that's nice.
And
his chair's still red.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, rip. I've decided to go. I used to be like, black and red. That's my jam. Now it's more like white and black, and then sprinkling colors here and there. Oh God.
Whoa. That was epic.
Rip eyes.
Rip eyes. And then I would change the back one here. Oh, this is.
Look, he's got a touchscreen and everything for it. Look at that.
Well, it's my iPad.
Damn.
So I have a little. I'm learning how to
nerd.
Plug. Yeah, right. Nerd. Plug it into. I have like a USB port.
Strobe. To strobe.
You strobe?
Yeah.
God damn. Hang on. I gotta fix the red here first. What is this? This is my light bar. That's something else. Oh my God. Sorry, I have so much.
He's gonna accidentally just turn the stream off.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
He's trying to adjust his lights.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have too much here. But
Ooh, first world problems.
It looks good.
Too much stuff here.
Is this not saying it's on?
Is this thing on?
Is this thing on? So there we go. Now we're blue. Oh wait, my keyboard.
You can switch the light on your keyboard.
Oh wait, I can't because
because that will end the stream.
So maybe close.
You don't need to change the color.
Yeah.
Maybe if I do don't.
For whatever reason, the driver for Corsair bugs my computer, so I completely just uninstalled it, and it's just red. It's just gonna be red now.
Keyboards don't need drivers. That's crazy. We've gone too far. We're trying to play God.
Too far.
Yeah.
You want to talk about Destiny a little bit, Jörg?
Do I want to talk about Destiny?
Or Joe? Joe, you as well. You played it. You played it with a little bit.
I played it for like a week or two. I'm sorry. I don't have enough gameplay to discuss it.
Really now?
Correct.
Or
No, yeah, I never played Destiny, the first one, and then when Destiny 2 came to PC, I tried it out and I was like, okay, this is cool, but you know, I don't.
But for 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. My tastes are just changing, I guess. I don't know. I've kind of stuck with certain types of games now, but I'm just waiting for other ones. But you guys go ahead and talk about Destiny. It's all good.
No.
We've already kind of cleared the air on our opinions on it. So if there's nothing else
I'm right,
to add.
he's wrong. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
I thought we were pretty much aligned with our opinion.
Not anymore.
I guess not.
No, we're not.
To be
Because I'm right and
continued.
you're wrong.
Top anime portrayals.
Yeah.
But I have to say this light setup now, it's more pleasing for my eyes, to be honest, because this little red there and all the blue, it's like I'm more calm now. Before that, I just wanted to like, I don't know, argue
Understood.
more.
I'll leave it blue. I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
I don't care.
but do you guys have any like dire questions, or I don't know. I feel like I was bombarding you all with weird questions before.
I think good question. So it's all good. I don't mind it.
Let's see
questions.
If it's a good question.
What is the question?
God damn it. Or Mike.
Well, I was thinking we could, Jörg, you and I have had a few deep questions on our previous episodes. What if we asked Joe those questions?
Okay. Fire away, Mike.
Okay.
All right.
So, what was it? The first one, I believe, was, is there life after death?
Life after death question. Yes.
Is there some sort of an existence, in your opinion, past the point of your body no longer working?
Probably not.
Okay.
Probably not.
Question answered.
Unfortunately, that's about all the data I have. Probably not.
That's the data we all have.
Exactly. It's like
everyone else is like, oh, I have data. No. It's just fantasy, bro.
I mean, I'm glad people can. I'm glad people can. It's good. It's good conceptual. It's good. It's good stuff to think about. And but if I'm not. That's not something I specialize in the sense of I know, so I would bet on probably not.
Understood. You're entitled to your opinion. That's okay. I think the next one was, wasn't it aliens? Do you believe in aliens? Was that the second question we did?
Thing is, when you have a band. Which is which is about like sci-fi stuff. Don't you have to believe in aliens, right?
Yeah.
It's just like.
Well, I may. I'm okay. All right. So this may be kind of not a surprise. Well, okay. So
surprise me.
Chances are there is life some like you can't look at the photos of the galaxies all clustered together and tell me nothing's there. It's the numbers just don't. The numbers are so big that it's hard for us to even speculate. That aside, when I be doing sci-fi, storytelling, for example, I've tried to be very cautious into crossing over from, because I've always kind of considered sci-fi and the sci-fi genre and the fantasy genre kind of overlapping, and the Mechina story is very much more. I try to go towards more realism, sci-fi than more fantasy sci-fi. So even though in the quote unquote Mechina universe, it's still technically in the Milky Way, for example. It's still, it is in a specific place that we know exists technically.
Yeah.
It's human versus human interactions and augmented human versus augmented humans and humans. There's no, it's not like, No Man's Sky where you just, you go to one area and there's, one alien race there. Yeah, it's so, I love realism in art. So when I look at, do I think aliens exist? Probably, yeah. Chances are. They don't influence my writing, though. I don't consider. I think humans are just as interesting. And so I like to dive into that stuff.
Cool. Thing is, I was asked. Oh, sorry. I was asked very interesting question. It was when we were talking about we're going like really, I don't know, out there, like kind of Joe Rogan out there. And we're talking about like multi-dimensionalism and beings that can move from this dimension to the next one and perceive multi-dimensionalism and so on and so forth. And we're coming to the question: what if the stories we create are just whispered into our ears from another dimension?
I think I listened to. I remember you guys did talk about this on the last podcast, right?
About this question,
this particular topic?
Did you?
Not really, because I was talking about this with other persons like a few days ago.
I think we talked about I know the first episode and the second episode we talk a lot about Grant Hancock's theories. Previous the potential for
civilization and stuff like that.
Right, like like 10,000, 12,000 years
that stuff's
ago.
amazing. I love that stuff's very interesting. Jörg, what was your question? I'm sorry.
No, so it was this theory, but only this like when you talk and it's getting late and you're never mind. So it's like what if the stories we create, like what we get like inspired, what if inspiration is just our brain tapping into another dimension, observing what is happening, forgetting half of it, coming back and telling this story kind of, what if inspiration is just observation in another dimension?
How could you connect that to then your dreams?
Kinda, or
because if you're awake, if you're awake and having an idea and that connection's there, that would also imply dreams are the same thing. Or
but it doesn't.
It seems like dreams are more chaotic, though.
Yeah, it is. But it doesn't exclude it,
Sure.
I mean, maybe
this
dreaming is more like passive observation in another dimension.
Yep.
And
activity is an active.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that was a really complex thing, but as we were talking about this, I was really like, I don't know. It kind of caught me. What if there is no, within humans, there is no genuine inspiration. It's all just observation from another dimension, and we tell what we see. Yeah. What if all the grand opus that is Mechina is not your imagination, but is what you saw in another dimension? That really sets it off, kind of. Yeah.
No,
It's
no, no.
it's
I like
yeah.
the thought. That's it. That's just interesting. I'm trying to, just trying to.
Yeah, we're also sitting and thinking about this.
I
So
am
what does
confusion,
this
boys.
mean? What?
I am confusion.
Yeah,
I'm
this is
trying
3D5 me. Yeah.
it's it's st- so when you're like, if you're in a rainstorm and you see a worm on the ground, it has no idea what you are. It can't. It
Yeah,
doesn't.
yeah.
It has no
It
idea of
it it
it.
perceives me as kind
It's
of a higher being,
and
or
it doesn't know,
even.
like every living creature has its limits within
Yeah.
its brain. So I've always been a big advocate of like, we got to figure out more of how the brain works.
Mhm.
And I think it seems to be something that we're driving to try to understand more and more and more.
Yeah.
But as somebody who also, because it comes down to the mind brain theory, which is your mind what is connected to the meat inside your head, or is
Okay.
the
Yeah.
meat
And
inside your head,
where is the barrier? Yeah.
yeah, is the meat inside your
Yeah.
head connected to the mind separately?
Yeah.
And I'm more on the front where I feel like our minds are what's in our head. I'm more of a materialist in that context. I have
Mhm.
nothing else to provide. I have no other means of explanation other than we are who, because of what's happening physically inside of our
Yeah.
skull.
Yeah.
And and we all hear it. It's like your gut biome can change who you are.
Mhm.
You can have an injury to your head and it changes your entire reality.
Yeah.
You can get hit in the head by accident, and your vision just changes your whole world. Now,
Yeah.
does it change the physical world in that person's reality? Te- it was like, if a tree falls in the forest and no one hears it, did it exist? Yeah, the tree still fell.
Yeah.
All right.
His tree still fell. So I'm still
Mhm.
kind of a materialist in the sense of like, your thoughts are all in your skull
In your
and in
head, because
your
of
maybe your environment too.
connection between all the neurons and the
I If I had to
and
bet money, I would say that is more likely. But
yeah, yeah.
it's a good. I mean, creativity is much of a philosophy as it is a technicality, so to speak.
Yeah.
We could sit around and talk about all the technical things to do with creativity, but
Hmm.
let's say harnessing creativity is the weird one. That's
That is so
the
weird, because
that
it comes and it goes, like it seems like its own entity
mm,
sometimes. Yeah, you could be on the, like, on the top of your game, like, like really you had a few you have a lot of free time, no worries, you're healthy, and it's like a good time to work, and nothing happens,
mm,
and you can be tired and miserable and sick and not on your workstation and under the shower, and all of a sudden the money riff comes in,
mm-hmm,
and you
mm-hmm,
hope that you're fast enough on a phone or something, so
hmm.
you can manifest your idea. Yeah. And yeah, sometimes it's the other way around. So that's what I mean with creativity it feels like its own thing sometimes.
Sometimes
Like,
I could
yeah.
make a correlation between creativity and pain, in the sense of the when you were mentioning, you know, if you were at the top of your game, healthy, no worries, you would find that some people may not be able to find creativity because things are, let's say, too peaceful.
Yeah.
Some of the best art is artistic representations of pain. And I think that's why a lot of artists in general are, once again, kind of loopy, in the sense that they found an outlet for, let's say, pain through a different form of expression outside of their physical body, you know, because it's not, you know, happy love songs are good ones, but painful, heartbreaking songs are great forever. So there's a weird thing that goes on in an artist's head when they're trying to find creativity, and it always seems to come at the worst possible time. And that's
shower songs.
I'm half asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and sometimes it's even like, oh, holy shit, my life just fell apart, you know, momentarily. Yeah. You know, you sometimes you can find inspiration from trauma or pain after the fact. When you're in trauma and pain, we're still animals, so I don't think it's like, oh, I just broke my leg and I just came up with an awesome riff. It's more or less like, you know, I broke my leg and I remember that pain. I remember not being able to walk, and I remember not all of that, and then taking that into consideration of describing maybe a part of that through music. And that's just a very random example of breaking a leg, but I think a lot of it is reactionary.
I get your point. But is it, you know, it feels like it's such a metal thing, like, you know, like metal music, when you just tap into pain or hate. Yeah. Isn't there ever, I don't know, like when you think back, don't you ever had this I don't know, this like best of times, and you felt like everything is positive, and then you wrote a song and it was just glorious?
Yeah, that could definitely happen too. Sure. I'm not gonna say it's all pain. But
so you think we can set on great songs come out of big emotions? Yeah,
I think, well, I mean, you can, you know, as metal bands, we like to, the whole concept of metal music is to be is to show
aggressive,
is to show darkness in harmony, so to speak.
The ugly side.
But you can still write great, like you can use love, the complete opposite, and try to write the human emotional spectrum is so that there are so many slivers of that pie that you can go after to utilize creativity. But once again, that really depends on the person, and how they operate in their own head, because you can be you could be the most creative person in the world, but if you don't have the discipline or the resolve to harness it and then materialize it, it's
not going to work out.
It's not going to work out. It's a tricky it's a good time. It's a good time.
It's a good time. Oh God. Start a band, they said. Yeah.
You'll enjoy it,
No,
they said.
you enjoyed.
Nah, just
I
kidding.
still enjoyed
Yeah.
doing
Oh, yeah.
doing it. My I don't know, kind of like half my life now.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's still I don't know, this kind of repetitive thing. But yeah, what I wanted to ask before is you are the main songwriter in your band, right? But you also the main producer, yeah, which is something um I could never look behind because I'm just at the, how can I say it, on the front end
Sure.
of making music. I'm not really producing, but what I did from the beginning when I started CTM, I was like, okay, I want to do every output. I want to do things different because I don't see the point of repeating the same artistic thing because
Mhm.
it will sound the same like every
Yeah.
time.
Yep.
And then I have the feeling, yeah, okay, sorry, I already did that. Yeah.
Mm.
So, um, do you do you kind of came to the point once where you said, okay, I wanna produce it with another producer, like not DIY it, but just to
My whole
change the process? Or
where I'm at right now is very much just out of the product of it came to be from the environment. So when Mechina stopped playing shows, when we were all kind of burnt out, we were having some issues with some member, like one member in particular, and right then and there, the band could have ended. 2013 could have been it. And the one thing I decided I was going to, in the meantime, instead of me having to stop everything and go find, this is very specific. The reason I the reason I took over, let's say, drums in Mechina was because I ended up learning how to do all that out of sheer necessity to not quit. Because if you're strictly reliant, I don't like taking unnecessary breaks for the sense of like, oh, the band just stops now because the bassist quit and we got to go find a new one, and it just grinds everything straight to a halt. When I stopped when that in 2013, when that happened again, I said, well, the only way for us to continue forward is if we don't stop. So because of that, I had to learn how to become better at doing drums. I had to figure out my methods of communication with the other members and how to logistically do work with them as well. And it's every album it evolves. And right now I'm working with my two best friends. It all came down to, Mel and Dave are my two best friends.
Yeah.
And it just, through all the turmoil of like the last decade of, the band going on and off, and then the grind of projects and albums, it just ended up being at this position where I'm pretty happy about it. But I think it's because I never allowed it to stop. And if you can't, um, if you can't if you can't figure something out, it just means you don't have you're inexperienced, or you're ignorant on a certain topic, or like me trying to figure out how to not only write drums, but then to program them technically in whatever software I'm using, for example. I needed to get better at that because it's only going to make me more valuable when I'm in a position in general where I need to figure out how to do drums, because worst case scenario, no one else is around. That a lot of producers kind of have to be, in the sense, viable inputs to a large branch of circumstances and outcomes. So if you're in the studio as a producer, but you're working on, let's say, guitars, you have to jump literally between being the guitar player and then momentarily, like, and I'm also doing guitars right now. And what I'll do is I'll play guitars for like 5-10 minutes, and I'll track some stuff, and I'll literally then put my guitar down, and then I turn into producer.
Then you engineer it, yeah.
And then I go in and I kind of do a little bit of manipulation or check my work, so to speak, and then see where it goes from there. And then I'll pick up my guitar again and become the guitar player again. And then all of a sudden that guitar riff doesn't work very well. And then I have to put the guitar down and then change the drum, go into drummer mode. And that's just a product of my environment, of needing to be able to not sit and wait. And it's the one thing that was pretty unbearable, I'm sure, early on in Mechina, was me being kind of unrelenting, and what seemed to be it seemed like I was trying to run the show, but I just was trying to keep it running. And when you're young, you have an attitude, and everyone's got an attitude, so it comes off weird. And sometimes it leads to members leaving. So, it's being a producer is it's all just it's taking experience from as many different directions and trying to be able to, like, use it, put it in your pocket, and be able to bring it out at any moment. It's one of the reasons, but no one can do everything. So once again, that's why I said earlier, when I needed some help writing lyrics, I just had someone come in and sing, because I'm not a singer. I don't sing. And I'm not, those are one of the few things that I'm not sure I want to even learn how to do. So, I'm not very good. I need to outsource to. It's okay to outsource, and producers are very much, some producers can do a few things. Some producers can do a lot. Once again, it's just it's the scars you have from previous projects that are kind of your producer scars, so it's cool because you can then look at your own music. You can switch a part of your brain off where you can become, once again, kind of a third party, unbiased. What would the term be? Volunteer for the song. You can kind of put your producer pants on and then think like, okay, if I had a band in this. In the studio and they were at this position, where would be the wisest direction in regards to time to go? And producing is just as much logistic as it is being a creative fail-safe for a circumstance. It's kind of like a producer can be a manager at that point too, so yeah, I don't know, it just came to be that way. I was a guitarist from the beginning, and then I just ended up being the producer. So it is what it is.
It is what it is. So it's basically about detachment, also, like when you can step out of the circling and look at your work or look at your workflow and ask yourself, okay, is this really effective, or am I working correctly here, or what could I do better?
One of the biggest things is my ego getting in the way. Is my ego getting in the way of this, if whatever problem I'm having with, let's say, for example, this song, is my preconceptions of what I expected making me pause, or am I wasting my time with my, everyone has an ideal, and it's what's the term? No plan survives first contact with the enemy. So the second time you can have a plan, and the moment you hit that wall, you've got to be flexible enough to not be stuck there. So being limbered to be able to kind of run around a problem and circle back to it if need be, is okay, because some guys will sit there and they'll be like, I'm doing guitars today, and then they pick up their guitar and they're like, why is nothing working? They'll sit there for 5 hours, and what they should have done is taken the hint from their gut and said, you know what, something else is wrong here, let me try something else out and see what happens. It's one of the great I prefer producing over being a guitar player, because then I'm not sticking myself into a box of where I'm sitting there just always worried about my riffs. It's like, and that also you can also kind of tell that with how my style is. My guitar style is not flamboyant. It's not, I don't sit around thinking about my guitar riffs as much as a guitar player that only does guitar in a band would look at his guitars in context of the song. So, it gets a little cluttered, but you get your patterns down, and you work through it.
Gotcha. No, that makes perfect sense. I see it in a similar way when it comes to self reflection and evaluation of past work.
Yeah. And as an artist, I think you could probably agree that past work is a great little snapshot of who you were at a certain time.
Right. When you put it in the context of time, when it not when it came out, but when you wrote it, and
the journey
and
through
which,
it.
And which mindset you had back then. That's very important for oneself. I mean, for a fan, it is hard to see often, because they don't know the person that you were, or they don't have the of course not the same set of information that you have. So sometimes I think sometimes it would help if one could put out some kind of director's commentary when you release a album, and you can be like, yeah, this song sounds like this because I don't know, I had a huge conflict with a colleague of mine, blah blah blah, or like what you want.
It's
that would help. But on the other side, I think many it's not people, many fans, they don't want. I mean, maybe Mechina fans, but
I would actually counter that by saying maybe it's none of their business. You know what I mean?
It's like,
and I'm not.
Of course.
I'm not trying to be like facetious about it, but sometimes
what was the word now? Facetious. You don't want to be what?
Facetious.
What does this mean? I mean, guys, I'm from Austria.
Sorry. I'm not trying to be rude or like unnecessarily like
harsh.
It's the if everything is out, you know, there is a you go through it. When you write a song, the where you are in your mind and what you're thinking and what you're going through in your life while you're writing that song, and the little things, the little details that make you while you're in that studio writing is it's almost impossible to translate this in the right way to someone who isn't in your head or in the room work. You know, it's and it's almost like if they were able to, it would lose, like we were joking earlier, it would lose kind of it's you would see too much of the guts of it, and it might not be as beautiful as it was if you just saw it from the outside. And maybe the fans don't need to know how sad you were when you wrote that song.
Right,
you know,
right.
it's okay.
Also, you would take the fan the ability to project something onto your art, which is something I often find very interesting.
Yeah.
Because when I see a piece of art, whatever it may be, a movie, song, picture, I don't know. I like to project stuff of myself on it. Not consciously, but it just happens.
You will rub off on it by default. It is part of you coming out. Yeah.
But when I know more about the piece of art, it is hard for me to then I have less space to project on it. Yeah, which is sometimes it's interesting. Sometimes I tend to I want to know like everything about this, but this is only mostly for like movies. Yeah, I really like production diaries and behind the scenes and director's commentary.
Sure.
And but mostly when it comes to visual art, more like photography, I don't really want to know like everything behind a photo, like either technically or who is the artist and what was his mindset. I just want to see the picture and be like, okay, this probably happened when blah 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 and this and this, because in the end effect, it helps me maybe to find something out about myself.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Which is an interesting thing to use art for, I guess.
Well, that's probably why so many people that's probably why art is so special to people. You know, like, because if you see a painting of a person in, let's say, like an art museum, well, this could be very different to different people, but maybe somebody would see themselves immediately in that, or they would see the specifics first. Like you know what I mean? They'd be like, who's this character? Or they'd be like, wow, that character, you know, that comes a little full circle with how you try to keep listeners in a concept album with the characters without making the listener a character. That's one of those tricky things, because I almost feel like the narration in between characters could be more like where the listener sits, so to speak. Or worst case scenario, the listener is in a first person perspective of a character, but they're just sitting they're sitting along with, like a movie. They're all along for the ride. They're not but since there's no visuals within an album per se, you want to have it so where the fan they'll find very unique individualistic ways of putting themselves in albums. or even songs, individual songs as well.
When you leave enough room for it, yeah. But I tried different things to this, because of course I first started with, okay, I want to put the listener in this observant position where they can look upon the story like from the outside, and they're kind of safe out there, yeah. Then on our second album, I purposefully said, okay, the listener is the main character,
Okay.
and they are like on the ride, yeah. But they experience everything that the main person experiences, because it was mainly about it's getting kind of late, and I'm losing my English vocabulary.
It's okay. It's okay. We only got a few more minutes, boys.
Yeah.
Minutes.
It's about how a person deals with crisis, and that was in a 10 chapter story. So it was something that each and every one of us felt at a certain degree. So it was kind of logical to put the listener in a first person thing, yeah. Which also leads back to like, I did the thing, why do the thing again? So I make a different thing now, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean that was kind of interesting experience to like really purposefully take someone and sit them here and say, okay, and now you're the guy. Good luck and fun. See you on the other side.
Yeah, it will when you take that position inside of a song, you end up finalizing the writing in conjunction with that. With that, sometimes I'll take a character and it will be it will go in and out of the character's perspective. For example, a character will be feeling, saying, or doing something, and then it will, like, if you were thinking about it in terms of visuals, it would then just like lift up into the sky and go somewhere else for a moment, like another circumstance, or addressing something that's not specific to, maybe that character's action, words, or emotions, and then you can come back in with the character. Do you do that with lyrics? Do you do that with sound design? Do you do that with velocity and dynamics of a song? Well, shit, all three if you want. You just got to just make sure the song is at least kind of good. And then, you know what I mean?
Kind of good.
Kind of good, at least.
Kind of good.
Some say it doesn't suck. It doesn't suck.
True. True story.
Hell yeah.
Like, we've been rambling. I'm sorry, Michael.
No, I mean,
information,
gathering information.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally fine on my end.
Also, I'm always trying to, I don't know, to ask questions that are kind of a little bit more out there.
It's awesome. No, it's
just tell me, when did you start to play guitar?
No, my brain is been used up today. It's good. It's good thought experiments. We'll do this more often. It'd be cool.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
We do these once a month. So I mean.
Oh, cool.
So
cool.
Yeah, next one will be Christmas time.
Will there be Christmas this year or not? Yeah?
All I know is there will be snow. The December would be, hit me up. Let me know. I'll be around. I've got December's usually, if it's January 1st release, December I'm all over the place. So we'll be maybe we can catch up in December. Maybe I'll have some, because by by December, there'll be a new song out. So
Nice.
we can maybe talk about that after.
Yeah.
But
sounds good.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate it, boys. I gotta go.
Yeah.
But it was a great time. We'll do
Indeed.
it again.
Sounds good.
Hopefully.
Thanks for the invitation.
Of course, yeah. Always welcome.
Thanks for being on his. Wait, on what side are you, Michael? You're left, right?
He's on my right side.
Well, so go the other way. Yeah, there you go.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're pointing
Thanks,
at me.
Michael, for having us.
Oh yeah, thanks. You got it, bud.
High five.
All right, boys. I will talk to you soon.
Yeah.
All right, thanks again, guys.
See you around.
Right, see ya.
Stay safe. Yeah.
Alrighty. Oh no, you got all messed up now. All right, so should we end it there? I guess everybody. What do you think? You want to hang out for a little bit? I mean, it's late for you, so you probably want to hit the hay.
For me?
Yeah.
I can still hang a bit.
Cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm really interested in the Mechina community.
Indeed.
If they think this is also very interesting.
Yeah. So
if we put Joe on the spot. And also maybe what kind of questions they would be interested in
hearing about. Yeah, so this is for all the people in the Mechina Facebook page, Discord, etc. What do you guys think? Having them on with us once a month, maybe sporadically here and there. Yeah. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Of course they're gonna say yay. No, I don't want that. All right.
Just giving you music. I'm not interested in talk. Yeah.
No, but that would, I think, be appreciated by a lot of people. You know, this is a little bit. Hey, you know what? It might be a little bit more insightful because it's not necessarily talking about the details like we've done, or me and my partner here have done in the past with the previous two episodes that we did with Mechina. It's a little more casual, but serious questions, but not necessarily directed at Mechina. They're more, producer questions. Questions where, what's the thought process behind songwriting, and all that kind of stuff. I'm rambling now.
That's okay.
That's okay.
It's your thing. Yeah.
So, talking with him.
I mean, not rambling, but this is your podcast.
Well, whatever. I just push buttons and whatnot. I can dig a monthly stream. Oh, we got Christmas album when. I mean, the Christmas album will probably be January 1st. That'll be when the album releases. We'll get a single probably in the first week of December, usually following trends.
Great.
Following trends is what I do.
Like a clockwork. Yeah.
I mean, just follow the trends. What do the numbers say? Mason, what do the numbers say? Mason! The numbers, Mason!
There's this kind of meme, it goes like, how people are in math class.
Yeah.
And you see like a normal class and people are like writing on a paper and doing calculations, and then it's like how I feel in math class. And then you see like what
is the number 6? What is 6?
The numbers, Mason, what do they mean? Yeah.
What does this mathematical equation mean?
Just kick me out. And then he cry.
Just do it. Just do it. Do the question. That's one thing. It's weird when I was in like high school and like middle school and stuff like that. I necessarily wasn't too enthusiastic about school, right? Once I hit college, I was like, okay. I'm starting to retain information a little better. Could consider it, environment, whatever.
Yeah.
But we're talking about math. I sucked at like algebra, and I was like, I'll
Mm-hmm.
never use this. And I'm literally in situations now where it's like, oh, this is an algebra question. But one math that I really did well at was statistics. That's the only math throughout my previous college experience that I got an A in terms of math. I was like, wow, this just makes sense. I just get it. Oh, these equations. Oh, okay, cool, yeah. And that's one of the few reasons. I chose a major which used statistics as well as used earth science, which was meteorology. And I followed that. Didn't finish though, so shame on me.
Shame on you.
Shame on me.
You? So I was in a business school, right? And I sucked at all the business topics, like hard.
Right.
And yeah, because I was like, it doesn't feel like this is a real world application what we are doing now. This feels like finances from like the last decade or something.
Right.
Yeah. And now I work in finance and everything makes sense, but only because I see real world applications now, and now it's easy.
Yeah.
Kinda. Yeah. Now the numbers make sense.
Yeah. I totally feel that.
Before in school, everything was so fucking abstract for me. Yeah. Well, it was just I never learned to get like information. I always learned for not failing a test, and this was very frustrating for me. Yeah, like really, because everything was just hypothetical and theoretical, and I was like, yeah, man, does it matter? I don't know. Yeah, how often would this happen? Yeah,
right,
and stuff like that. Yeah. And yeah, as soon as I started to work in a financial institute, and I mean yeah, a lot of knowledge I got back then I could then use, yeah, but I could also see what happens when I did something right or when I did something wrong, or and so on and so forth. Yeah. So then it made sense, but yeah. I don't know. I think school should be a little bit more practical.
Yeah. And affordable here in the States.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we also have like state schools and private schools, and private schools are, of course, they look better in your resume, but they cost a lot of money.
Right.
So thanks, mom and dad, for paying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out parents.
Hell yeah. Yeah, let me think. Did our Destiny bit earlier. We don't necessarily need to go into that now. I think we agree. I think we ultimately came to the same conclusion. Did we not?
Is the great.
Did we not?
Nah, yeah, we did.
No, just kidding.
It had great ideas and great art, but it was a patchwork game. But it is a patchwork game. For me, it was because I stopped playing.
And I agree.
But I'm very, very inspired, and I think Destiny did a great thing for this massive multiplayer online shooting grinding game stuff.
Going the sci-fi route.
Yeah, not only, but where, for example, where Destiny sucked, Division worked it out, kinda, and made it better.
Right.
But what's the game called with all the Iron Man suits?
Warframe?
Not
Anthem?
Warframe. Anthem. Yeah, Anthem tanked there. Yeah. But Warframe is doing a lot of things right, I guess. And the only thing where you can say this game doesn't work for me is like when you don't like the aesthetics of sci-fi ninjas.
Right.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
Sci-fi ninjas
But
doing 12 million damage. Oh, I'm over it. No, the grind of Warframe does have a pretty steep grind. You know, you're not gonna be really comfortable until you're like MR like 10 or 11. And I've been playing since the game came out. You know, I've got, you know, not to brag, I got what? Let me see. It's something like 1,600 hours in this game over the course of like 6 years.
Nerd.
Yeah, nerd. 1,700 hours. Nerd. Damn. You must have no life. You know life gamer.
Yeah, no. Gaming life. That's the gamer life.
Yeah. So it's steep, but I find it visually pleasing aesthetically, and you know the combos are neat and Warframes are cool themselves.
Yeah.
It's fun.
But the thing with all great games is just to find the sequence that is so great that people just want to replay it. You know, like because in every game what you do is basically compressed into 15 to 20 seconds. Yeah?
Yeah.
And that must be so open that you can put it in different scenarios, but it has to feel very different. But you know, what is Warframe, or what is Destiny? Yeah,
right.
It's basically go into a room and find the most effective way to do maximum damage to a maximum count of enemies while getting no damage at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you can use it with your gun, your special ability, or guns, special ability, and your teammates. Yeah, and that's the whole game, right?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter if you play PvP or if you play in a horde mode, blah blah blah. Yeah, it's just the same thing. Yeah, and when you take Division, it's also the same thing, but with cover.
Yeah.
But it's so versatile that you can fill a whole game with it and entertain people for, like, you know, I don't know. AAA titles have to entertain for what? 60 to 80 hours.
Yeah.
And then it's okay. It's okay for people. Yeah.
Right.
And you have to find the sequence. Yeah. And everything else is just technicalities. For what engine do you use? How creative is your graphic department, and so on and so forth. Yeah. But in that core, Division, Warframe, and Destiny, it's the same game with the same idea and the same sequence, which you just repeat over and over again, but in 1,000 different variations. Because, you know, once the room is that you enter is small, is big, has more levels, you just have 2 enemies, 5, 1 end boss, blah blah blah. But what you do is the same. Yeah,
indeed. And you know, having different characters. You know, there's 3. What is there? 3 characters in Destiny? 3 main classes.
In Destiny it's 3. Yeah, and you have the subclasses and all. But what I always missed was, like, the thing that it doesn't really matter what class you play. And I always wanted a game where you have to decide, commit, and suffer the consequences. Like, you know, I always imagined in Destiny Titans to be like this Space Marine kind of guys, like heavy, slow, like cannot run around fast or jump a lot, but they can take damage. Yeah, and they can eat it up. They eat rockets and shit. Yeah,
right.
Doesn't matter. But when it's time pressure, it's getting close. Yeah. Or when they have to jump a gap or something, they have to find different ways. Yeah, or you maybe have to find a hunter friend who goes on the other side first and puts down the bridge for you or something like that. Yeah. Or you have to commit to a subclass. That's something I liked in Diablo 2, where you had this different skill trees, yeah.
Right.
And once you committed to skill tree, you were bound to it, and then you could say, okay, I'm a skinwalker druid. Yeah, I'm sucky at summoning things, but I can turn myself into a werewolf really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then when you commit, you start to identify with this really specific part of a character that you created. Yeah. Because in Destiny, at some point you had all the subclasses, and you maybe, when you put in enough time, you had all 3 characters and so on and so forth. Yeah. I was like, nah, man, it's nice. Yeah. But I consider it cooler if you experience the game from just this one specialized angle, or maybe 2, when you say like, okay, I played I played this Striker Titan for so long now. I'm gonna start a new character now, and then now I'm gonna play, I don't know, Gunslinger.
So the nice thing with
Hunter.
With like Warframe, there's something like 27-ish Warframes, and they, certain missions, oh, you better bring a Trinity, or hey, you better bring a Nova to this mission, because that's just the type. Those Warframes themselves do well in certain game modes. We just hit the 3-hour mark, by the way. Hell yeah. Actually, we surpassed... 3 hours, yeah. Excuse me. Hell yeah.
It's 1 o'clock in the morning.
Do you want to go to bed?
I wanted to go to bed like 8 hours ago.
Damn. Well, I guess you're never going to bed now. Never going.
I have to push the all-nighter, right?
Sure. Hell yeah. Let's do it.
No, I won't do it.
Oh, I won't do it.
We will somehow finish this up, and then I'm gonna hit the deck.
Let me think.
But yeah, as you said, Warframe, you better fill in the gap. Yeah. I would also think the concept would be more interesting if you can play the game with all the characters, but it's easier when you have, for this level or for this enemy, you play a hunter, or you maybe bring a friend that is a hunter. Yeah, which is the point of these games. Find friends,
right?
And hopefully they play a different character, and then it's maybe easier, because it's always more fun to spend time with other people. Yeah,
right.
Maybe that. Yeah.
About who you play with too. Yeah, totally. Who who you play with, and who you play in the game. Like,
True. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, yeah. Understand that there is a business side to things, of course, and of course, gaming is a huge industry, and blah blah blah. And you wanna put out a product that is for everyone, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, so and so on. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mostly like bold artistic moves. Yeah, and dire consequences with artistic choices, even when it comes to video games. Yeah,
right.
And I rather stand behind a product that says, if you're not like this, then this product is not for you. Instead of like trying to please everyone and come out with a thing that is meh. Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I think controversy, if you want to call it, maybe more interesting somehow. But yeah, as I said, I understand the business side of things too, and one has to consider it. And yeah, mostly it's not about making art, it's about making money.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing, but maybe it's a bad thing for the art.
Yeah.
Does this make sense?
Sometimes
Yeah.
I don't think you should. It's complicated because you obviously want to make a product somebody likes.
Yeah.
And make a living off it, but you also can't be only thinking about that. I think having a really good concept for a game, whatever. This is my kind of mentality. Like, if I do my music, whatnot, and it's in my opinion, I feel like it's decent, but it doesn't sell well. Right?
Yeah.
I'll take constructive feedback and kind of learn from it, but at the time I was like, this is the best thing ever. And that's again where ego steps in, and it's like, what are you doing? Don't be too much of don't be too much of a what do you call, ignorant, I guess. But that's if the music or the game or whatever is truly good, it'll sell well, obviously.
Yeah.
But I don't think people should rely on a monetary gain from that, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
kind of a messy dissection of that idea in my head. Words.
Yeah. Words, things. Imagine I said something very meaningful.
Yeah.
just
insert
outsource the meaning and sense to the other person. They should work. Yeah.
All right.
Of course. So yeah. What do you say? Let's wrap it up.
Indeed.
And pick it up next month.
Indeed. Let's
maybe ask Joe if he wants to drop by. If not, we just make it again.
Yeah,
which is always nice.
Indeed. Chill pod stream. Yeah. Chill pod stream.
Chill pod stream.
This should be the three of us should be the Space Boys. The Space Boys podcast. What do you think?
The Space Boys podcast. Yeah, maybe let's come up with we could do topics or questions, maybe.
Questions.
And questions. Yeah.
Yeah, Johns. Shout out to Philly. Johns. That's a slang here. So if you grab me that John. A John is an object. So it's like grab me that John. It's like a drink or a sandwich or give me the remote. Give me the remote. Okay. That's a John,
So you just say thing.
Yeah, right.
Or stuff. So it's John.
Yeah.
Why is it John?
It's just spelled JAWN. Not like John, like JOHN. Yeah, so
okay,
John.
Okay.
Give me that John. It's just slang. I'm not really a slang guy.
This is weird. Nah, you speak like proper straight English, American English though. Which is great.
Yeah,
which is great. I love it. Yeah, I mean, as I said, it's sometimes hard for me because I don't know, in my head I always feel like I talk like Arnold Schwarzenegger. In my Austrian English, but mostly it's just like
it now.
Yeah, do it now. Do it for.
I mean, that's it's not the fault of you. It's it's just the language itself. The Austrian is similar to German.
It's basically the same.
Right.
We have same rules, and it's the same thing. It's just some words differ. Yeah,
Sure.
that's all.
Sure.
That's all. It's like
So I mean, it's I think it's fine. You learned a second language. I don't know 2 languages fully, so take that for what you will.
Yeah, I learned more actually.
Well, shit. All right.
Like with my with German, I learned 5 languages.
Wow.
But I can only talk 2. The other 3 I can read.
Oh, okay. Well, that's still cool.
Yeah, it's Latin, Italian, and French.
Nice.
But when you learned Latin, the other one is
easier, right?
Are kind of, it's not easy, it's easier. Yeah.
Easier, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing with French is it's like it's a language with just exceptions and some rules.
Yeah. Exceptions.
Which in German it's like only rules and some exceptions, but also those exceptions have a lot of rules. So which is the German thing to do, like put the rules on anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main difference between Germany and Austria. It's like Austria is like, just do it.
Chill.
However,
right.
just make it work tomorrow. I don't know. I don't give a shit. Yeah, just
not
drink
important.
a beer. Yeah, drink more. And German is no. We have to do this perfectly. Yesterday, yeah. Hans, Staatsdirektor.
Hans, yeah.
Yeah.
Patenwagen. Hagenwagen.
Yeah. That's the cool thing with German language. You can make excruciating long words.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you want.
Right.
Yeah. And it makes sense and it works. It's not that hard.
Are those words like sentences or like phrases?
No, it's just
one word.
Yeah, it works mostly with subjects. Like things.
Like physical things or like
yeah, okay. or I don't know, functions or persons or jobs also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I tried to think about how you can do it in the English language.
So like I need to get the thing, bring it somewhere, or get the thing and
Now you can mostly make the thing you're talking about. You can be like really specific with the thing and just put it in one word.
This remote I have. Here's a remote.
Yeah.
This remote.
You can You can say this is a remote for a very specific thing. So say the remote of this, but it's 3 words. Remote of the thing.
Sure.
Yeah, or remote for light. Yeah.
And that's one word. That's put into one
Austria,
word.
you would say like when you say that's the remote for the light or the remote for lightning. Yeah, lightning is flash and which.
Sure.
Never mind. Yeah.
Never mind.
You would just say light remote in German language. Yeah, you just would you put those two words together into one. Yeah, so you don't need to say it's this for that or this of that. It's just put it in one word.
Right.
And there you go. And this you can do with a lot of words.
Yeah.
If you want. Yeah. And be like really specific.
Right.
Really exact.
That's a fun little tip. A fun little I guess insight to language.
That's about the only fun thing about German language you get. The rest is not fun. The rest is war.
Yeah.
No.
Oh god. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
There they come again, taking over shit. Yeah. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, of course.
The the nicest description I've ever heard for the German language was the German language is a really nice looking but heavy coat.
Sure,
to put
sure.
On. Yeah, and it's like, yeah, this sounds about right.
That has
Really.
studs on it and big spikes and
kinda, and it's black leather.
Yeah. You patches.
Yeah, and bulletproof.
Yeah, and bulletproof. Duh.
Of course. Yeah.
What do you think this is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up.
Indeed.
Michael, it was an honor and a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Again, to do this with you and
Indeed.
all the 5 to 6 people that follow this.
We had I think our max was 11 today.
Nice.
Towards the beginning.
Get
And
better.
we had a pretty consistent 4 views ish. Pretty consistently.
All the Mechina fans.
Yeah, well, you know,
Which
is
are
okay.
very, very committed.
Indeed.
And great people. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, yeah. Cannot really describe it. With just, I don't know, one should be envy to have fans like this, that they're hardcore followers and read up all the lore and so on and so forth. You Mechina fans out there, and you, Michael, of course, you're great people. It's
Cheers.
really inspiring. So
well,
yeah,
your stuff is inspiring as well. So
that is
and you
nice
guys
to hear.
and you guys have your own story, and you guys have your following, and everybody should you know, branch out and, you know, sci-fi story, you know, in the same realm. Everybody go and learn.
Kinda. I mean, Mechina is more on the sci-fi side of things. We're kinda a bit more out there and a bit more, I don't want to say fantasy, but we don't really care about so much on scientific details. Yeah, it's more like it's really metaphoric, and the main topic is about inspiration and how you can use inspiration as a source of power and gain a lot of energy out of it. Sorry.
Yeah.
My English not good. So yeah, but it would be interesting to hear from some Mechina fans what they think about my band. It's called the Mothership. Follow us on everywhere, the Facebooks and Instagram and so on. Maybe Michael is so kind as to put some addresses in the Mechina chat.
Yeah.
Discord.
We can
Discord.
so for this video, since we had the both you know, you yourself and Joe, I'll put both band links in the description of this video. So we'll do that. And then I can put those links into like the Discord and put them out that way. So
that will be very helpful.
Yeah.
And we're open for feedback, of course, because it can only make us better in the
Indeed.
end.
That's
yes.
right.
And also feedback to the Cosmic Experience.
Yeah.
Which is
whatever this is.
Finally the name of this podcast that we have.
Cosmic Experience, Cosmic Podcast, whatever it may be. It's one of the two.
Cosmic something.
A cosmic. I put, you know, Cosmic Experience here on the Discord, on Twitch, because like, you know, I'll do this, and you know, maybe I'll do like a writing stream, or you know, where I'm in my DAW playing guitar or whatever, or maybe I'm just playing some games. You know, I just want it to be kind of, you know, similar but also vague, kind of. It's like I do a few things. It's like, all right, you know. So that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Is you're sharing your experience of the things that interest you.
Indeed.
Which makes sense.
Indeed. Cheers. Alrighty.
We finally figured it out. So yeah, see you around.
Indeed. See everybody.